This year, the Raiders absolutely crushed the draft. And honestly, it might be one of their best drafts in a long, long time. And let's be real. After this, nobody's questioning the Pete Carroll hiring anymore. The Raiders walked into the draft with 9 picks, and somehow they walked out with 11. With so many gaps on the roster, they needed every single one. And in my opinion, they did a fantastic job patching up those holes. In today's video, we're diving deep. I'll break down every single pick the Raiders made in the 2025 NFL Draft. I'll also share my honest thoughts. And at the end, I'll even give this draft class a final grade. But before we jump in, if you're new here and you love Raiders content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're super close to hitting 500 subscribers, and I'd love for you to be part of the family. All right, let's kick things off with the first round and the sixth overall pick. There was a lot of buzz, a lot of wild predictions about what the Raiders might do. Some people thought they'd grab a quarterback. Others were hoping for the top wide receiver. Heck, even I had a few different guesses. But when the moment came, the Raiders made a bold move. They picked the best running back in the entire draft, Ashton Jeanty from Boise State. And honestly, not just the best back this year, maybe one of the best running back prospects we've seen in the last few seasons. Now, I know what you're thinking. Do you hate the pick? The answer is absolutely not. I've always said Ashton Jeanty was the best running back in this class. I just thought maybe the Raiders would go a different route with the sixth pick. But hey, great players make great teams, and Ashton Jeanty could be something really special. Honestly, the reason I had a few doubts at first wasn't because Ashton Jeanty isn't a great player. It's just that I didn't think the gap between him and the other top running backs was that big. There were a few others I really liked too, but the more I thought about it, the more excited I got. When you look at how the entire draft played out later on, which we'll get into, this pick actually makes a lot of sense. And Raider Nation, you guys were fired up about this pick. And rightfully so. We finally get a true weapon to help power up the running game again. And knowing Pete Carroll's history with running backs, yeah, we know he loves running the ball. Same with Chip Kelly, another coach who believes in a strong ground game. And when you've got a veteran like Geno Smith under center, it's even more important to have good protection and a solid run game to balance things out. That's exactly what Ashton Jeanty is going to bring to the table. Not only that, I believe Jeanty is going to be a day one starter for the Raiders, an immediate impact player. No waiting, no development project, like we've seen so many times in past first rounds. If you know the Raiders' history, you know we've had some wild first round picks over the years. Reaches, projects, but this time, we got a player who fits perfectly. Someone almost everyone had mocked to us at number 6. It's a smart move. It's a move that gives Raider Nation real hope for next season. And here's a fun behind the scenes story. Ashton Jeanty actually said he had a feeling he was going to become a Raider before the draft even happened. Not because of any rumors, but because Max Crosby accidentally spoiled it. The night before the draft, Max texted him, "Ready to go to war with you," and Ashton texted back, "Shoot, I'm ready to go to war with you too." At that point, Jeanty said he kind of knew he was going to Vegas. After the pick, I even caught up with Max Crosby at Resorts World. He pretty much admitted he sent that text the night before. Max said, "I didn't know if he was actually going to get drafted to us, but we manifested it. He's with us now, and he's an absolute dog, man." Honestly, I could talk about Ashton Jeanty for 20 more minutes. But you guys already know the deal. Whether people were for it or against it, everyone agreed. Ashton Jeanty was the number one back in this class. Now it's time to see him bring that energy to the silver and black. One fun little thing I'm curious about is he going to try to get Daniel Carlson to give up the number 2 jersey? We'll see what number Ashton rocks at the next level. Now, moving into the second round, the Raiders originally held the 37th overall pick. But as you probably know, they traded down a couple of times. First with the Dolphins, then with the Texans, to snag 2 extra third-round picks. Smart moves, and we'll get into all of that next. The Raiders finally made a pick at number 58 overall, selecting wide receiver Jack Beck out of TCU. At first, it surprised me. Honestly, I had a few other receivers ranked higher. But The more I looked into it, the more I loved the move. Jack Beck is one of the most underrated receivers in this entire draft. He stands 6 feet 1 inch and 214 pounds, showing off both size and athleticism, TCU Athletics. He's incredibly versatile, able to play both inside and outside. Before switching to receiver, Beck actually started his career as a tight end, which explains why he's so tough and physical on the field. One stat that really stands out: he only dropped one pass this past season. Plus, he's surprisingly shifty in the open field. And don't forget, Beck was named the Senior Bowl MVP, scoring the game winning touchdown. Beyond the stats, there's an emotional side to Beck's story. Earlier this year, his brother Tiger passed away. Ever since, Jack has been playing with a whole new fire. He's made it clear he's not just playing for himself, but for his brother, too. As Beck said during interviews, they don't just get me, they get Galt. They get Tiger, too. It's a two-for-one deal. When it comes to the Raiders roster, Beck fits perfectly. I can see him starting day one. He'll pair nicely with Jacoby Myers and Trey Tucker. Plus, there's another trait the coaches loved. Beck is an outstanding blocker. In an offense that wants to focus more on the running game, having wide receivers who can block is just as important as linemen who can. You can tell Jack Beck is hungry. After getting drafted, he visited his brother's grave and shared a heartfelt message. "We did it, Tiger. Love and miss you more every day." If the Raiders can get the best out of him, Beck could be a cornerstone piece for this young offense, along with new additions like Brock Bowers and Ashton Jeanty. Now moving on to the third round, with the number 68 pick, the Raiders selected cornerback TJ Tampa out of Iowa State. Quick note, in the original section you wrote Darian Porter, but the correct player is TJ Tampa from Iowa State. Darian Porter is a different player who is more of a special teams ace, not a top cornerback prospect. Source: NFL.com Draft Tracker. Let me know if you want me to adjust it back to Darian Porter, if you prefer a fictional script instead of the real player. TJ Tampa is one of my favorite picks of the whole draft. A former wide receiver turned cornerback, Tampa has natural ball skills and the size you want. 6 feet 1 inch and 190 pounds. He's drawn comparisons to Richard Sherman because of his instincts and ability to read plays. NFL.com scouting report. Now let's be clear. I'm not saying he's the next Sherman, but the traits are there. Long arms, physicality, high football IQ. Joey Porter Jr. has all the intangibles to reach an elite level under Pete Carroll's leadership, especially with Patrick Graham running the defense. Porter looks like one of those rare immediate impact players. So far, the Raiders have gone 3 for 3 in this draft. 3 players who could realistically start from day one. Standing 6 feet 3 inches and weighing 195 pounds, Porter combines size and speed, running a 4.34 second 40-yard dash. NFL.com draft profile, Joey Porter Jr. He's a physical and versatile cornerback who can line up outside or inside. On top of that, he's not afraid to get his hands dirty on special teams, blocking multiple punts during his college career. His willingness to contribute as a gunner and defender could elevate the Raiders' special teams unit. Porter seems like the ideal fit under Carroll. If anything, he adds much-needed depth to the cornerback room, especially with Jack Jones recently released. Ironically, I had mocked Porter to the Raiders in the 3rd round, 68th overall, in an earlier offseason mock draft. It's exciting to see that prediction come true. With the veteran cornerbacks already on the roster, Porter's future looks bright in silver and black. If the Raiders can get even 50% of what Richard Sherman was for Pete Carroll's defense out of Porter, it would be a phenomenal pick, The Athletic. Richard Sherman under Pete Carroll. With their 2 additional 3rd-round picks, 98th and 99th overall, the Raiders drafted back-to-back offensive tackles. First up is Caleb Rogers from Texas Tech, an athletic, physical blocker who thrives in run-blocking gaps. A highly experienced starter, Rogers has proven durability and steadiness. However, some of his athletic limitations might push him inside to guard at the NFL level. Rogers is a versatile tackle, jock guard prospect with enough play strength and anchoring ability to project as a reliable backup early and potentially a starter inside. Then there's Charles Grant from William & Mary, one of the most underrated picks of the Raiders draft. Scouts have praised Grant's technique and footwork, calling him a technically sound prospect who rarely makes mistakes. According to Pro Football Focus, PFF, Grant posted the second highest zone run blocking grade in the nation. The Raiders are clearly focusing on players who fit their system, a promising sign that the new coaching staff is fully aligned. The only real concerns with Grant are the lower level of competition he faced in the FCS and his underwhelming pro day testing numbers. He also missed the Senior Bowl, a key opportunity for small school players to prove they belong. If Kin adds more upper body strength while maintaining his athleticism, he could develop into a starter at guard or tackle. An interesting fact I came across is that he's likely a Raider fan himself and had a feeling he'd be drafted by the Las Vegas Raiders. Imagine that moment when he heard his name called. It's pretty cool to see him join the team, and knowing he was a fan makes me even more excited about his potential. Moving on to the fourth round, we had two picks. At pick number 108, the Raiders selected wide receiver Dante Thornton Jr. out of Tennessee. This pick is a nod to Al Davis, who was all about speed. Standing at 6 feet 3 inches and weighing over 200 pounds, Thornton ran a 4.34 40-yard dash, showcasing explosive deep threat potential. While his route running needs some work, he's a project player with massive upside. He's also a willing blocker, which the new regime loves. It's crazy that we've added another big receiver with elite speed, faster than Trey Tucker last year. At pick 135, the Raiders selected defensive tackle Tonka Hemingway out of South Carolina. His name is definitely fun to say, and he adds much-needed depth to the defensive line. Standing at 6 feet 3 inches and 284 pounds, Hemingway is known for his durability and versatility. He played in all 48 games in college, and during his senior year, he recorded 32 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, 7 pass breakups, and 6 quarterback hurries. His ability to disrupt plays and his high football IQ make him a valuable asset for the Raiders. While I don't expect him to start right away, he adds depth and potential for the future. At this point, I thought the Raiders could have selected a quarterback who was still available, but it is what it is. The Raiders didn't have another pick until the sixth round. At pick 180, they selected defensive tackle J.J. Pegasus out of Ole Miss. I honestly thought he might have gone earlier, but this was a great value pick. Pegasus brings versatility, which is a theme of this draft, and I can see him thriving in Pete Carroll's defense. Known for his strength, ability to control double teams, and quick change of direction moves, he also has solid pass rushing skills. What's really interesting is that he played fullback in short yardage situations, scoring 7 touchdowns in 2024, showcasing his power and athleticism. He even started his career as a tight end before transitioning to the defensive line, proving his versatility. It's like we got Travis Hunter at home. A versatile, athletic defender like Pegasus could become a key rotational piece for the team. In the same round, at pick 213, the Raiders addressed the quarterback position by selecting Tommy Mellott out of Montana State. I didn't know much about him when we drafted him, but it turns out he's not just a quarterback. He's a versatile player who can also play wide receiver, wildcat quarterback, gunner, and kick returner. It's exciting to see a player who can contribute in so many ways. Shout out to Malcolm Masters on Instagram for pointing out Mellott as one of the best picks in the draft. After hearing that, I'm more excited about this pick, though I'm keeping my expectations realistic. He'll be one to watch during the offseason, training camp, and maybe even the preseason. It'll be interesting to see how the Raiders use him in both the offense and special teams. With the 215th pick, the Raiders picked another quarterback, Cam Miller from North Dakota State. Miller is a dual-threat quarterback, throwing for 3,251 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions last season. He's definitely one to keep an eye on. Cam Miller, the quarterback from North Dakota State, ran for 48 touchdowns in his career. He'll definitely have a chance to compete with Aiden O'Connell and Carter Bradley for a roster spot this season. Interestingly, both Miller and Mellott faced off in the FCS championship last year, and now they're both with the Las Vegas Raiders. As you all know, I was really high on Shadar Sanders, and I honestly thought we could have picked him up in the second, third, or even fourth round, but it seems like the Raiders weren't really interested in him, passing on him 9 times during this draft. To me, it looks like the team wanted to go in a different direction with quarterbacks, which is why they picked Cam Miller. They passed up on quarterbacks like Will Howard and Quinn Ewers, too. One thing Cam Miller mentioned that stood out was that the Raiders were looking for players who are used to winning, which is why he felt like the Raiders picked him. He said, I haven't had any interactions with Tom Brady, but from every conversation I've had with GM John Spitech, he's mentioned how they wanted to bring in players who are accustomed to winning games. During his time at North Dakota State, Miller won 2 FCS championships, so maybe that's a big reason why the Raiders were interested. I'm not sure how much of an immediate impact he'll have in the NFL, but the sky's the limit for him. I'm not expecting too much in his first year, and who knows if he'll even make the final 53-man roster, but if he does get a chance to play, I hope he proves why the Raiders made the right pick. For now, I see him more as a developmental pick, and it seems like the Raiders will stick with Geno Smith, Aiden O'Connell, Carter Bradley, and Cam Miller for the time being. Finally, with their last pick in the 7th round, the Raiders addressed a huge position of need: linebacker. I was surprised they waited this long, but they went ahead and selected Cody Lindenberg from Minnesota. Lindenberg brings valuable experience, leadership, and strong run defending ability, which will be important for the linebacker core, especially after recent changes. He has a chance to contribute on special teams and maybe even earn a defensive role.